folks, welcome to Best of Publishers, and today we're taking a look at Catalyst Games, or Catalyst Game Labs. Now Catalyst has done many things over the years. They've only recently begun to get into board games, let's say in the last 5 years. Up until that point in time, they really had two major properties that they worked with. One was Shadowrun, a cyberpunk futuristic type universe, and the other was Battletech. From the novels of Michael Stackpole and others, these giant mechs brought to life with vivid stories. And I remember very much playing, this was from Wizards of the Coast, the Battletech CCG, and I led to that. And I played Battletech with the miniatures way back in college. Well, they jumped into board gamings a few years ago, and my first playing of their board games, they were pretty bad. I really disliked pretty much all of them. And despite that, still, they had a pretty good attitude about that and talked to me about it. And as time went by, there were several other games that I liked. So I have my top 7 from Catalyst because I don't want to put any game on the list that I don't like. But I am looking forward to see what Catalyst does in the future. So here we go. Number 7, High School Drama. Now, this was not originally a Catalyst game, but they have recently got the rights to it and they're printing it now. High school drama is about having different people in high school and having them work together and forming cliques and stuff, which sounds like a really let's get out of here type theme, but it actually plays pretty well. So I have to give them credit for grabbing this small little game. Don't let the theme scare you away because it actually works in this game and it's a lot of fun. High school drama. Number 6 is Wrath of Dragons. Now this game came out, I want to say, in 2015 to almost no buzz. I enjoyed the game, so it's on my list. Wrath of Dragons is where you are a dragon and you are burning down different spots. It's like a Euro dragon game though. You're trying to terrorize the villagers here and do different things, and you're placing different workers in different spots. Certainly had a different type of feel to it, so check that out, Wrath of Dragons. Number 5 is Battletech. Battletech is a miniatures game. Now, as the years have gone by, there's been different versions of Battletech. There was the WizKids collectible miniatures one, and there's the computer games and things like that. But the original Battletech, which they have upgraded and changed, and I have to put this on the list because I spent so many times, if nothing else, just taking mech sheets and designing my own mechs. Sitting there, okay, how much heat do I want on this mech? Do I want to add missiles to this one? The long range or short range? And it just was so thematic. It's a little clunky. It could probably be streamlined a bit as time goes by. And I know they made a newer intro version to the game, which I still have yet to play. But you got to give a lot of love to this game. Over the years, it stayed very true to the universe. When I'm using an Omni mech or one of the clan mechs, and man, you can just feel that. There are so many books, and they follow the history of those books very well. So props for Battletech. Number 4 is a kind of a failed game of theirs, which is unfortunate, and that's Leviathans. Leviathans only came out in the big giant box. It was like the size of Twilight Imperium, a really huge box in which you were fighting in airships and Leviathans, and you had these big airships with a few smaller ones. And it was essentially the same as fighting with ships as you're moving around, shooting missiles at each other or torpedoes at each other, shooting at each other, maneuvering around, but it's slow maneuvering. And I'm kind of a big fan of that slow maneuvering, trying to get into the right spot to be able to really blow the other ships away. It really was looking forward. They had an interesting universe, kind of a steampunk alternate universe. Really want to see more, but the game did not do that well, so we never saw much follow-up to Leviathans or more expansions, more factions. But if you ever do find a copy of this game for a decent price, I highly recommend it. Number 3 is Shadowrun Crossfire. A couple years ago was the year of Shadowrun, and one of the things that they did was they made a cooperative game in which you are all working together to go in and rob some corporation, and that's honestly all I know about the theme. But it had some pretty neat Shadowrun type artwork in it. Each person was different, and it almost had a legacy feel to it because you could put stickers on your characters and slowly buff them up as time went by, although you had to play a lot to buff them up. But you would go through and you're flipping cards and you're all working, and there was multiple missions. This game is another one of those cooperative games that it's not talked about a lot when people talk about their favorite cooperative games, but it really is a solid game, Shadowrun Crossfire. Number 2 and number 1 are very similar to each other because number 2 was a variation of number 1. Number 2 is Jarl, and then number 1 is the Duke. I still remember the first time I saw the Duke, And I looked at the prototype of it and I thought, yeah, not good at all. Because it was a piece, it was like a chess type game. Each piece would show the grid of how that piece worked on the board. And I said, yeah, that just looks too complicated. Then I heard that once your piece moved, you flipped it over and it became a different piece. And I was like, well, all right, we'll try it. Wow, was I blown away. The Duke was excellent. The Yarrow is also good. They both have actually very different feels. The Yarrow has more defensive pieces and more hand-to-hand combat. The Duke slides around the board, a lot more ranged type attacks with pieces. So I have to give that one the edge. I think I like the Duke better. The Duke also has more expansions than the Yarrow does. And you can actually play them against each other, which is an interesting thing. But the idea of pulling pieces from a bag, putting them there, you're going after one piece, your opponent's Duke or their Yarrow, trying to kill that piece, and you can pull a piece from the bag and put it on the board, or you can move a piece and then flip it to the other side. The games are usually symmetrical. Some of the expansions make them asymmetrical, but you're picking how you're going to move around, what you're going to do, seeing each piece. I mean, there's really no unbalanced piece in this game because you can give each side the same piece. They even have, stickers. You can build your own custom pieces. Definitely one of my favorite abstract games of all time. It's in my collection. I think this one is great. What are they going to come out with this year? They have the Vikings license, so they made a few Vikings board games. They have a Venture Time license, I think, and some other licenses that they're working with as time goes by. So we'll have to, I think it's Brave Story, not Adventure Time. But anyway, we're going to see different things coming from them. I know they just announced a Con Man card game. So yes, it's very obvious when you go to them that they're really putting their effort into Battletech and Shadowrun, right? And board games are still kind of a sideline for them. But I am curious to see how these games come out in the future. I certainly will always go by and look at them because I know that the folks who run Catalyst are really into games. They really care. They listen to criticism. Like I said, their first games, I just blasted, and they came and talked. And that gave me a lot of respect for them. I think they're great guys. I love the Battletech universe as a whole. So we'll see what they do in the future. This is Best of Publishers. I'm Tom Vasel, and today we've been talking about Catalyst games.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.